Welcome everybody to Earthmind Think Tank and World Meditations. Who's running the show today?
I am.
Oh, morning Frank, how are you?
I'm good.
Okay, so away you go, my friend.
All right, well, good morning everyone. 16th of August, and then incredible events transpiring around the world. We were just discussing before the program some of the events that we should be looking at that are unfolding, and there's a tremendous amount of stress building up around the world. You can just feel the tension in the air. And a lot of it is because of the tremendous shift now that's occurring in the financial structure of the world. And this is causing stress because so many people don't know what's going on because the government is not saying a word. None of the governments are. But they're preparing to shift the financial structure into a gold-backed currency system around the world and away from the fiat system that has caused so much disruption in the last 10 years. And where greed just got out of bounds and they began to make money out of thin air and trying to use it to control the world. But that's all crumbling away now, and it, unfortunately, as it crumbles away, the trillions of dollars that the Illuminati and the Cabal has stored away to buy up corporations and gain control of 95% of the assets of the world, as those things are breaking down to get those corporations and businesses and the basic financial structure of the world and the banks back out into private hands that can operate in dominion, it's going to require quite a shift, not only of the financial structure, but of our own thinking about how things work. We simply have to no longer allow ourselves to be subjective to this force simply because they've on the surface they've created a nice benign functioning world here that other than the wars, which are also created to cause stress, and so they can do things surreptitiously without us noticing what's really happening. But the attention of the world through the common system of communication now, the social system, is bringing it to bore and to focus the activities that over the past hundreds of years have created the stress in the world. Now, another observation of this is that it's interesting that in Missouri, I think it is, where the police have been putting down riots with military equipment that has been furnished to them by the government. Now, the equipment's free, and boys love their toys. And the kid that's got the biggest firecracker on the block is the kid that makes the most noise. And this is the first example we've had of them using military equipment to control the population, to control the civilians. And where Mike, you've been observing this a lot. Would you like to make a comment on this for us, please?
Sure. Go refresh my memory a second. Where were you right before you handed off?
We were talking about the military
oh, yeah. Right.
Of the police.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because there's kind of a struggle going on. I see them in the media kind of taking everybody's temperature. I'd say the developments there are positive because awareness has risen. I saw a segment on the Financial Channel yesterday where they're asking the questions, and the one guy won the interview, I think. They put on a former cop about how we need all this equipment and blah, 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 blah. The best response a talking head can first think of is, well, what are we going to do with it if we just going to throw away these perfectly good weapons of death? And, the guy says, the other advocate, and this ended the interview and silenced everybody, said, you're asking me, why it's appropriate. What else will we do with these if we don't point them at Americans? And that was it. So I do think that the public realized it. And he asked a couple other questions. What do you need an MRAP Humvee in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for? There's spreading this stuff all over the country, in an effort to, but they're falling back when they fall back on justifications like, oh geez, who wants to waste a perfectly good armored vehicle? It's like, they're really stretched out.
Well, the realization is that this is part of the cabal's plan all along to take over the governments, to take over the world. And by handing tools and the capability to people whose jobs ostensibly are to protect and take care of us, they set it up to control us.
Well, I think the key has been and continues to be that, we haven't allowed the financial system, I know everybody would like not everybody, but we all want to change, and we want to see, the domination force removed from the financial system and all these other things. But, there's just not, and I would have been the farthest from this position, a few years ago. But, the realization sets in. Number one, there's not going to be any real place for revenge. Because that's not going to be productive for anybody going forward. Also we need things to go gradually. So as much as we would like to, because, having the economy, devolve into chaos just sets up the conditions that they would like to be able to attempt, the grander scale move, and we don't want that. So, as much as maybe some of us would like to be able to, just smite the banks immediately and, take back control immediately and get rid of a bunch of these people, we do need expertise. We need a smooth transition, and it's going to be in everybody's best interest to, take these decisions in consideration of what's best for the collective, and, we're going to have to put aside our desire to get back at people or to make things go too fast. Because, we're so dependent, the Western world in particular, and the technology-driven world is so dependent on things being, relatively stable and having a means of exchange and having all these systems continue to work. Because if they shut down and don't work, it'll be a much worse situation for everyone.
Well, that gives us the observation of what is ostensibly happening out there, but the realization of this group is that we don't go there. We don't go get into the ain't it awful and oh my God and the fear that is being generated by a lot of other groups who would like to immediately see things happen, but fear is not the way to do it. Our intent from the very beginning of the formulation of this group mind consciousness of the Earth Mind meditation group and the extended consciousness of World Spirit Radio is to work underneath the dynamics of what's happening on the surface, and just through our focused consciousness and our unified consciousness to distribute peace and love and kindness and empowerment of dominion, and we cannot do that with head-on confrontation. The groups that are out there that are doing that are focused on direct confrontation, are simply going to regenerate or generate more opposition. The more they do, the more opposition will occur. But our approach is to work in the general consciousness of giving a steady influence through group mind and through Earth Mind itself, and through our grid of consciousness around the Earth in the golden grid, to just help influence people to make right choice. And anybody, I don't care who they are, if they were given the opportunity and their attention is diverted away from the power control structure into themselves and self-realization, there is kindness and goodness in everyone, including the Illuminati. And that kindness and goodness has been subversed and subjected to the domination force of the Anunnaki so long that it's time now for the great shift, the great change to occur of shifting from that domination consciousness into dominion. And so that's what the focus of this group should be. Yeah, we'll cooperate and observe what everyone else is doing, but our job is not to get fanatically involved in things or illusionary things, but to stay focused on the facts. And the facts being that we are here to love, to teach people unconditional love, and to visualize peace and to grow things. And so we are doing that.
100% agreed. And I think I think of us as coming from from a position of gentle advocacy and education and encouragement that better things are possible. And like one big initiative I can think of, for example, that would just be a kind of a little bit of an alteration and or continuation enhancement of programs, things that are already going on, is that a lot of these financial institutions have paid a lot of fines, for misbehavior, particularly in the mortgage market. And so that if we take our energy and, convince our elected officials, to move into dominion and do the right thing, take right choice for the people, all they would have to do is rededicate money that's already, things that the proceeds of actions that have already been taken, and go and not apply them to the government and or the favored parties, but take those proceeds back and fund the basic needs of the people, and which would put a solid foundation under the economy and give everybody some breathing room to continue the recovery and move into dominion. So there you go.
Yeah, perfect. Well, any other comments along this line?
Well, I would say we were talking a while back about the police being armed to the teeth with military equipment. That Homeland Security is behind that. And the Israelis are behind Homeland Security and 9/11 and the Patriot Act and all that. It's being controlled by outside forces that are not in this country, although they are in here, this country, and they basically run the show.
Precisely. And as all things of domination, these two shall pass, because domination ultimately self-destructs. And the awareness that we have to have is to how to maintain a structure of understanding and consciousness, that while the destructors are trying to tear everything apart and break it down so they can maintain control, just like Maliki did in Iraq, the force of positive consciousness ultimately triumphs. Look at India and the British. We see it at every place in history you want to look at. Ultimately, love and lateral consciousness, thinking laterally instead of vertically, and the control factors of the vertical pyramid. When we begin thinking laterally to the benefit of each and all of us equally, independently pulling together our resources to make a common cause, this does and will triumph. So let's take our awareness into our meditation now. And as always, any of you newcomers, this is our method of accessing the subconscious mind, where we have the greatest power and access to not only group mind consciousness, but universal consciousness. Because here, when we step back out of the conscious reasoning frontal lobes that can get all excited and concerned and upset and demanding action and control, when we step back into the soul center, everything changes. And so this is one of our focuses, is to encourage everyone to learn how to step back out of the frontal lobes of the dynamics that are going on in our social consciousness, back into where we really live within ourselves, putting the soul in control rather than allowing ourselves to be controlled. So take the awareness into your forehead and just move right straight back now, being totally comfortable in a relaxed place. And as you step back, just release all those anxieties and stresses that are carried in the front lobes of our brain that are actually in direct resonance with our low selves, which foster the fear of survival. And so what we're doing is we're stepping back, is stepping out of the survival consciousness of the low self, back into the high self consciousness of our indwelling souls. So reach out now and just relax into the group mind consciousness of all human souls. And you notice it's hard to let go of your centered, focused point of attention. But the way to do this is spread your point of attention laterally reaching out to others, letting go of your own controllers, to where we come into the unified consciousness of oneness. Now you're relaxing, and we see the power and energy growing from this meditation group as we reach out through Wolf Spirit Radio and around the world. The power is in the pacification of the low self and the education of the low self survival nature, that we can exist and do better by sharing and loving and giving and empowering. Now take another step backward, deeper, carrying this unified consciousness back to the psychic center. And this is the center that actually, where we communicate from the soul to the consciousness realms again. But we do it through the unconscious realm of the subtle energy system of the subconscious mind. So we take our intent to distribute around the world peace and consciousness and love. Do that from that step back state near the pineal gland, pineal gland. And you feel another level of consciousness come to attention. This is the psychic grid. This is where we can directly communicate desire and will and intent, and people will respond from the conscious level. Now with that connection, we step back again into the expanded consciousness of the subtle energy field. And the subtle energy field is that aspect of universal consciousness, the God force consciousness that holds everything of a physical nature, including thought in form. So objective here is to change thought patterns around the world, but do it in a way that through self-realization of dominion rather than the automatic responding to the automatic structure of domination. Feel that expanding state as you step back now, bringing those frontal states with you. Extend your awareness down now to the heart and to the 0 point. And this is where it all happens. Anything that we're interacting in with our conscious higher levels of awareness really is influencing the 0 point in our heart center, which is in direct resonance with earth mind, the chakra system of the earth, the consciousness of earth that holds the instinctive consciousness of all living things. So right now we're focused directly on humans. Through earth mind, we're reaching out through the instinctive consciousness now. And to do that, you drop down even deeper. Carry these contact points down below the root chakra, down into earth mind, the crust of the earth that is the gigantic computer chip that holds the consciousness experience of everything that ever happened on the surface of the earth. This is the Akashic Records. And this is, or becomes the instinctive consciousness. Whatever's patterned there just continues to resonate from the moments of the past into the moment of now. Our job is to create in the moments of the future dominion. To extend your awareness through the earth mind grid completely around the world. With the intent to communicate directly through the instinctive consciousness of every living human the principles of dominion. And so we do this with our directed by our soul's mind through the psychic center, connected to the undersoul grid, centered in the heart. First thing we project is love, unconditional love. And to facilitate this, we reach to the galactic center and those evolved beings that have gone before us, higher masters, levels, who are communicating with us to inspire and enhance our abilities. And we feel that flow come in the back of our hand, back of our heads, down to our heart center, out through our hands. And the heart center is manifesting in this moment of now unconditional love. And we send that wave around the world even as we feel it in ourselves. Unconditional love, which is given with no expectation of return, but is given with the desire to empower others, nurture others. In our group mind consciousness, we are all one. So what we do for ourselves in resonance affects everyone. So feel within yourself unconditional love and all the positive attributes of the high human nature of giving, loving, sharing, nurturing. If you've accumulated more than your direct needs, you simply give it back into the society to be distributed to those who have not learned or incapable of caring for themselves. And along with it, you give the impetus of education, of teaching people how to care and nurture for themselves and each other. There's abundance for everyone on this earth. Tremendous abundance. And this is where we directly begin to work now with Earth Mind, the consciousness of nature, the living devic forces of nature, which nurtures all living things. All living things having DNA that has this natural instinctive nature of Earth Mind. The base impetus is to continue life and to evolve life, and to supply the needs of life. And so we bring this unconditional flow that has all the frequencies to heal or nurture or empower every living thing on earth. Let this abundance now resonate through the earth, so there's no lack and no want, and therefore no fear, no need to dominate because of fear of survival. But it is the truth that when there is abundance and we rise out of the survival level, then people and every living thing can turn its attention towards the evolution of its species and consciousness, to adapting and experiencing and enjoying life in all the forms of its reality. This is the nature of all evolving human civilizations. When they rise above the survival level, and learn how to trade and share information and abundance or creative ideas and things, everyone grows proportionately. And if it's allowed to distribute freely and not be over-accumulated by some and concentrated for power, as what happened in this last cycle of 26,000 years, when domination was the controlling factor on Earth. And we look back with the realization now as we shift into this new age of dominion. We look back with the realization that domination is the lesson that this cycle of humans came in to learn. By experiencing domination and the fact that domination always self-destructs, it has taught us how to look to being in dominion and using all the factors that are creative forces and power to ensure that everyone is cared for and nurtured. And right along with that goes the self-realization of spreading information about birth control and health and justness for everyone, so that everyone is treated with justice. And through this kind of basic structure of consciousness and civilization, we come to the realization we do not need police, armies, because there will be no borders to defend. We do not need a dominating governmental structure. Every area creates its own form of government, and just as not as a dominating government, but as a civil structure to nurture all things and all beings. And in our commerce, we create a structure where we can trade with every other country or group or community, trading our excess for what we need. There needs to be a common denomination. There will be a currency, a form of barter, but it'll be in the form of credits, which as you create, manufacture, and distribute, you accumulate credits that you can use for things that you require, such as food and housing, things of that nature. But it's evenly distributed. Nothing is accumulated in excess, because there's always someone who can use it. Now we're resonating this through Earth Mind. Let this become the instinctive consciousness of every human on Earth. And with this, let every human feel the responsibility for the environment, to not take more than our needs, to not accumulate or hoard excess, to not value one mineral or thing over another, but see the minerals for what they are, is simply the abundance of Earth that allows us to manufacture and create and distribute things, and have a beautiful evolving civilization, scientifically empowered to continually work in dominion to nurture and care for all things. That is our God-given responsibility. Just like it says and this goes back in ancient times when people had this realization. The basis of the first sector of the Bible, where it's recorded, and God shall give man dominion over all the creatures that fly and crawl and swim, and of all the things that grow upon the earth. Dominion being the responsibility to care for and nurture and empower and distribute, so that all living things is cared for, nurtured. Even as we cycle those at our need, we give back and empower to this species that we use to nurture ourselves by making those species more healthy and more evenly distributed, so that in their cycles of life, they can experience life to the fullest of their extent, in the realization that all things subsist by using the energy of all other things. And this energy basically comes through plants, growing plants, and that energy is directly dependent on the sun. And so with the living consciousness of all living things now, we direct our attention to the sun. And as all things in nature receive, so they give back. And so we recognize the sun as a living organism, just like Earth is. And this living organism resonates thanks and desire and will and empowerment to the sun. So the sun in its cycles, those dynamic forces of consciousness of the sun know their jobs and do them, and they're not disturbed, as has been in the past, by the negative consciousness of Earth, which causes stress. Stress in all things disrupts the natural cycles. And so we reach out around the world with our desire and will, and drawing energy from the sun and guidance from the galactic center. We resonate around the world the feeling of peace, love, harmony, compatibility, dominion. So there is no stress, no survival stress, no fear, no need to control or dominate. All living things are equal. Now we feel a tremendous intensity coming in our third eye. This is the intensity of the new frequencies of the fourth dimension that our bodies are having to adjust to as we rise in consciousness and gain further and further awareness of how things work and how to be a co-creative part of everything that works, rather than demanding or controlling or dominating things for survival. Now feel that light pouring from the sun in your third eye down to your heart center, and this indwelling spirit within the heart center, welcoming that light and energy and distributing it through the 0 point into the future, focused by our united soul consciousness, focusing dominion into the future in all things that live and thrive on the sun's energy. Even as it's passed down through the various species of plants into animals and into the oceans and all the filaments of life that respond to light, just as we're responding to the light now. Let that light grow within your hearts and resonate outward through your entire body, directly assimilating the light into your own systems, realizing we do not have to pull all of our substance from Earth, that we can pull energy directly from the sun, Feel that resonance of life now resonating outward through the grid, empowering all humans to pull energy directly from the sun and from the solar system to reduce the reliance on the physical things of Earth to the point that we degrade and obliterate There's a tremendous empowerment coming into all of us now. Just open your heart, let that flow out through your own systems, directly into the unified human consciousness that we have drawn together, into the oneness of all living things. And we bring together the unified earth energy and the energy of earth that has been released and lost through earthquakes. We take our attention to the ring of fire and just encompass the ring of fire as a low frequency physical aspect of what we're creating with our force of consciousness now. That's the female principle responding to the male principle of the sun as we manifest the new world order.
I'm going to interject the now world.
Yes, it all occurs in the moment of now, as everything does. Creating a new world reality. Now this gift of understanding has been given to us, and we've been being prepared for this for several years to understand the function and structure of consciousness as it holds earth consciousness in form. And this is what our intent now, to take this out and maintain this new world reality resonating through earth mind and through the grid of consciousness and through the golden grid, the protective shield around us. And we project this into the future as we see the human oneness become co-creators with God and with the greater knowledge of the galactic beings who assist us. Now this we see and project into the future, the shift from domination into dominion, and the creation of the new financial structure, and the shift of religions from being dominating, controlling organizations that limit through fear to be genuine, empowering, communicative structures, systems that can empower and nurture and teach and heal and enliven as they ostensibly project, but in reality it has been in domination. So we shifted the religious structures into thinking in dominion terms, releasing souls and not limiting souls. And we feel that soul release of millions of people around the earth now. What we are creating is a template, the pattern resonating into earth mind and all the grids of consciousness. The template of the fourth dimension and the new world reality. We're not dominating people in doing this. We're simply giving people the opportunity for self-realization. And as we continue to spread and expand, and we teach the principles of dominion, express them in all ways possible, people will be ready for what we have to give. They'll be ready to receive. And we see this rolling around the world in a wave of consciousness through the power of the Christ within us, the Christed beings that we all are. So it is. And we also extend to the group mind consciousness, the healing energy, to help every living being clear and release the old patterns of domination, to come into self-realization. The self-realization we are truly beings of dominion by raising the frequencies, our set point of consciousness through the levels of the chakra system into the higher ranges and out of the lower ranges that exist below the heart in the low self-dominating animal consciousness of Earth. We're lifting everyone into the higher consciousness that is governed by the indwelling soul. And that indwelling soul constantly prompts us to make right choice in this moment of now. And everything is always an ongoing moment of now. What we create, manifest now, becomes the standing waves of the future. And when we incorporate the power of the earthquake grid, the ring of fire, those earth energies were lifting into the golden grid now around the earth to protect the earth, and as a resonator of higher consciousness that helps to hold the form of our positive reality. And we look to the future. We use this unified field of the world and all the devic forms in the world. We create a negative field around the earth which acts to block and deflect the energies coming from planet X, the dwarf star that is in our solar system now. And because of its negative polarity, we repel Nibiru and planet X further out into orbit, so that as it passes through the solar system, it does no harm. has no influence. We're not even aware of its passage. And we bring our awareness to the group mind stress consciousness that's prevalent on the earth right now, from everyone that is in fear, everyone that is in fear of all the domination patterns and programs that have been imposed on us. We neutralize and release those programs. And replace that with the higher frequency ranges of higher consciousness, of dominion. So Earth becomes a planet which will continue to grow and evolve through the fourth dimension of time and space. And it's all happening in this moment of now. Now the Galactics would like to say this information that's been given to you this morning is to set the base frequency through this group mind consciousness that we've created in the Earth mind world consciousness. And this is what we will carry forward with the radio programs, and as we expand in learning and take advantage of opportunities that will be directed to us to educate the world. So this will be the theme of our future broadcasts, and should be the theme and is the theme of your own personal realities as your consciousness lifts and expands. And you feel the light of the sun constantly radiating into your systems, giving you more power, more control over your own systems than you've ever had before. And so turn your attention inward now and use this blessing from the sun, this light that we're accepting into our orbs of consciousness. We direct that into our DNA, into the strands of DNA in the genes, to reconsummate the telemeres on our genes that control aging. So every one of us in this group mind, power, and intent, energized by the sun, directed by the Galactic Center, we're regenerating our DNA, our genes to youthening. The etheric telomeres that no longer function because of our aging process come back into function and reverse the process of aging now. And with it comes a self-realization that we are total co-creators. particularly through the 0 point, we are co-creators in our own systems, our own realities. We are the masters of our destiny. And so it is. Bring your awareness back into yourselves now. Back up into the psychic center. Back into the soul center. Back out into the consciousness center. Back into full reality. Feeling different because you are different. And carry this difference into your waking experience. Hold this resonance that is directly emanating from your high self. And avoid anything that would pull you back down into the low self centers below the heart. You are in charge. And so it is. Okay, we're back. All right, any comments from the group?
Thank you, Frank, and thank you, Rachel, for holding and doing and being. Bravo.
This was wonderful. Just what I needed.
Well, speaking for myself, as Frank, this was totally unexpected. Because even though Rachel and I had achieved this in our male-female polarity, we had the hopes that we could take it to the group and in the future, but it was meant to come now. So here it is. Rachel, do you have any comments?
I'm just in tears. When you had that unified field with the earth and the sun, I got like more of a self-realization of like the chemtrails and all that. It was all to keep that apart from each other. And it's this unified field that is what's going to move us forward. And it's been done. And I just have goosebumps everywhere and my heart is just so full. I am so grateful.
When you were talking about the stress, I realized that all the stress in the world is created and sustained by lies. Okay.
And they've all been released. And it's up to the individual now to allow them to go from within.
Well, apparently we are on a time schedule, which is what the fourth dimension is all about, is learning to use time, space, it feels like there's a tremendous need out in the world right now for what we did today. And I feel the energy just resonating into the financial shift. Mike, can you feel that?
Yes. I think I feel a kind of a calming, spreading sense of cooperation and dominion and content. So yeah, I got a real sedate, dialed back experience out of the whole thing.
The reality just struck me that this had to be done so the world reset, revaluation of currencies could occur, and so Iraq could come into full functionality. Now, as we shift and move into positive things, it'll be in dominion and not in that domination force that could be controlled by the dominators. So we did it, folks.
Feels good.
I still feel a strong energy just emanating from all of us.
I must say, I got a huge laugh out of this on Friday. That one of the talking heads on, I now refer to CNBC as the comedy channel, but he was trying to be serious, in one of his attempts to get people to just do their knee-jerk normal thinking. But what he ended up saying, which was so true, is that we have to avoid the risk of over-intellectualizing. So let's just not think, and in our mode, we're just going to continue apace, creating our new system and ignore all of their over-intellectualizing.
Exactly. And we don't get fanatical about anything. We just flow with it as it happens. Kimry, can you see this as being the foundation for what you will carry out?
Absolutely, and my heart is popping out of my chest right now. The frequencies are, like someone else said, I feel all of it is trying to come through. It feels like my heart has like wings. So it's really amazing foundational work that happened today. I feel like we popped through something. Wow.
Okay.
And
thank you very much.
As always,
this is the top of the hour.
As always, the best is yet to come, folks. Thank you, JP. We're wrapping up now, and I can hardly wait to see what happens tomorrow if we get an encore.
Uh-huh.